Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Nikki Cross getting fired and when I think her career seemed to plummet and who is responsible for her WWE Women's title run being a complete failure and everything. Because those two events kind of coincide as to her career being stalled and like her eventually just doing nothing. And I'm a huge Nikki Cross fan. Like, I'm always championing for her. And I think it's unfair how she's been treated for the past 3, maybe 4 years and stuff. So, Nikki Cross, Nikki Ash, ASH, Nicola Glass Clo, I think that's her last name. I can't remember. She came on my radar when I started getting back into wrestling. By this time, she was already doing the Nikki ASH thing, the almost superhero role, where she was a superhero and she eventually became WWE Women's Champion for Raw. But, I decided to go back and look at some older clips, back when she was with Alexa Bliss, when she was in NXT, and her wrestling style is very scrappy. She's a brawler and everything. And she's a bit of a wild card. She takes crazy risks. Like, she's always jumping off something high and landing on her opponent. Crossbody style, moonsaults, press style, like you name it. And she'll take some big bumps and everything. And she will get her opponent over. And I'm not quite sure what she was doing in NXT. I just remember seeing that match between her and Asuka. And that was a brutal match. And then at some point in time, she was with Alexa Bliss when they was tag champions and they were heels and stuff. And so she's always had that manic heel persona where she's always angry, she's always frustrated, she'll beat the crap out of you. And she hasn't wrestled in so long to where I forgot what her finisher is. But I do remember the baseball slide outside the ring and her trapping her opponent in the apron and just beating the crap out of them. I love when she does that. But it was when she was doing the superhero thing, she came on my radar. After her run in NXT and getting called up to the main roster and partnering with Alexa Bliss and everything, she started to build some momentum. And this is back when Vince was taking a chance on like not your typical like wrestler and everything to be champion. He was giving people opportunities because a lot of fans have been complaining they're tired of seeing the same type of people who look the same or the same type of people always being champ and everything. They want other people to have a chance. And other wrestlers had championed for that too. So this is when Money in the Bank started to become like a test run for like up and coming people being like world champ. And she was one of those people and she won. And of course she cashed in on Charlotte Flair. Now I'm going to bring up Charlotte and her daddy a little bit later. And so it was there I started to pay attention to her. Now, her superhero outfit, she had like two, the yellow, blue, and I think, what was it? Black and yellow, I think. The costume was okay. A little old school, but it was okay. But it was the mask that was just so goofy. I don't know how well this ran over with fans. You see them always cheering her and everything in the crowd, but apparently online people had different feelings. It's kind of like Jey Uso. Jay became people was loving him. He became world champion, but people online hated him. Now his singles run is over and he's back tagging and back doing the bloodline thing. And so that's kind of similar to what happened to her when she was doing her superhero role. Like a lot of people just wasn't feeling it like online and everything. They saw it kind of goofy. I get it. There was really no gimmick to that. Like Gregory Helms had the best superhero gimmick. He was Gregory Helms one moment, then the Hurricane the next moment, changing back and forth and stuff like that. And he did it during a time when superhero stuff was not dominating the box office. But Nikki did become a superhero when superhero movies were a big thing. And she stated before one reason why she wanted to do that is because she just loves superheroes and everything. However, however, the moment she lost that title, that's when everything just went downhill for her. Because when she exited the WWE just now, on Instagram, she did a photo dump. The very first picture is her in the crowd in her superhero outfit holding the WWE Women's Raw title. This is probably her best moment ever because even though she had the tag titles and everything and that 24/7 title, it's the world title that means everything in the wrestling business. And there were two people who squashed that. And plus also her gimmick, I guess, just wasn't getting over with fans. But this is why you repackage. You don't cave in to pressure and you don't cave in to legends. Now, remember how I said she won the title from that of Charlotte Flair. Now, during this time when I got back into wrestling, Charlotte Flair, aka Ashley Flair, was a little controversial around this time. Her and Becky weren't really getting along in real life. The Four Horsewomen had broken up, and somebody said that she was being racist in WWE. They did an investigation, but there was never no follow-up to that. I do wonder what the results were. Was she really being racist to somebody in the WWE? Because there's never been no conclusion to that allegation. So I didn't really have that like good of an impression of like Charlotte Flair at that time. I knew who her dad was and everything. But then came her daddy. Rick the Nature Boy Flair, Mr. Drunken, alleged sexual assaulter himself and everything. And so, how does Ric Flair play into this? Well, I said this years ago. I don't remember where or how I saw this, but it was online. Either it was a video by him, it was a tweet by him, or I was watching WrestleMania. Ric Flair did what Ric Flair does best. He complained. And he complained about what? The booking of his daughter. Oh, my darling. I'm about to say, okay, I mixed together Charlotte and daughter. My bad. Oh, my daughter, like Charlotte, she deserves better than this. I'm just like paraphrasing. I don't remember what he actually said. This was many years ago. But, you know, his daughter deserves best and she should be booked better. And she's such an athlete and she's losing to this person and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. So, of course, what happened? Vince does what he does best. When a legend starts bringing in wrestling politics and starts complaining, there's a title change. And the next thing you know, Charlotte Flair punked out the women's champ to where the women's champ was terrified and afraid of her. I knew at that moment something was up and something bad was going to happen. Normally, the scaredy cat will overcome the bully and win, but the person getting bullied is the actual champion. So I knew what was going to happen. And sure enough, it did. Nikki dropped the title to back to Charlotte Flair. And honestly, I don't think she was a transitional champion. I don't think that. I don't think Charlotte was injured, I don't believe. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. I'm not sure. If she was injured, then yeah, then normally the title goes back to the person who got injured and stuff like that. But I tell you this right now, it was Ric Flair and his complaining, and Nikki dropped the title to him. And after she dropped that title, her career has never been the same since. Alexa Bliss was out, I think, pregnant at the time or something like that. And then it took them a long time to bring her back. Or I think she had an injury first, then she got pregnant. And then it took her a long time because she was on hiatus. And then they brought her back for the Rumble. And she's been tagging with Charlotte ever since. But what did Nikki do after that? Well, at some point in time, she partnered with Rhea Ripley, back when Rhea was doing her punker gimmick and everything with the short hair, and she was more muscular and her back was out and stuff like that. And she was wearing the leather jeans. Not leather jeans, like leather pants and everything. Then at some point in time, they repackaged Nikki, and then she turned heel, turning on that of Rhea. After that, she started doing this more glamorous heel type look, but then that shortly got dropped. And then she started doing the manic thing again, but then that shortly got dropped. Then she started doing the aloof thing where she just stands there with a vacant stare like there's nobody home inside. And that lasted for a very, very long time until she never really wrestled after that. She would just stand around and give that blank, vacant stare, or she would spy on people creeping around in the background, only for the commentators to be all like, is that Nikki in the background? What is she doing? She's stalking people. That led to absolutely nothing. Then she got the 24/7 championship, the last one to hold it, only for her to toss it in the trash can, but miss the trash can. After that, she just literally disappeared. And I mean disappeared. And when she would show back up, it would be like, what was that one thing they had? It was a WWE show. I forgot what it was called. I don't think it was Speed. I think it was something else. But she would only win matches on that. And when she wasn't, and whenever she did get to wrestle, she would job people. Then, like I said before, she disappeared again. Behind the scenes, she went back to college and got her degree. And then you always saw her wearing like these really pretty dresses and stuff like that, looking very professional and stuff. Then she disappeared again for the longest time, coming back as Sister Abigail, but everybody knew it was her, so they just had to call her Nikki Cross. And she was with the Wyatt Six. And then they disappeared for the longest time because one of their members got injured. And like many people said, well, if one person's injured, you can still have the rest of the fraction on television. But of course, Triple H did not do that. And so they disappeared again, only to come back. And they won like the titles, and she never had a singles match since. And it's been over 2 or 3 years since she's had a single match. I think she had like a tag match with one of the guys, but it was more like a group thing, but that was about it. Then I don't really know what the Wyatt Six were doing because I never paid attention. If it don't come on YouTube, I ain't watching. And when WWE doesn't showcase you on their YouTube channel, that means they could care less about you. And that's what they did with the Wyatt Six. Then the lantern got stolen. She freaked out. They freaked out. Then they got released. There is so much more you could have done with her. You could have had her face Jade Cargill. And I'm tired of people saying, oh no, only a tall, muscular person can take on Jade. No, have you seen Alexa Bliss going up against Nia Jax? Don't give me that crap. Have you ever seen Rey Mysterio going after the Big Show? Don't give me that crap, all right? She could have went after the title. It could have gave her some momentum. She could have challenged like somebody on Raw for their title. She could have went to the mid-card section and rebuilt herself up until fans started to pay attention to her again. See, the problem is with the superhero thing is that once the WWE audience is collective and hating something, then it's also almost over. That fans not liking it, Flair interfering and everything, and it just killed her momentum to where she basically just became a jobber and then just disappeared altogether. And she doesn't deserve that. If you go watch her indie stuff, it's really good. It's the same thing with Piper Niven. Piper Niven was nothing but a jobber in the WWE. When you go back and you watch her indie stuff, boy, she could tear a opponent up. Like, she was doing moves I was not expecting her to do because those moves are banned in the WWE. And it's kind of like this. I get it. They got a lot of female talent. And I get it. TKO is bleeding money because they put so much into this. And ticket prices are so high. They had to give a discount for WrestleMania. Things are not the way they used to be. All those sponsor money apparently ain't doing nothing, and they have to have budget cuts and stuff. Like, I do get that. But if your gimmick is not working, you repackage somebody. And they kept repackaging her over and over and over again. But fans were happy to see the manic side of her come back. I was not. I want her to do something different. I think even she wants to do something different because, like she said before, she likes superheroes and stuff. But when they gave her that aloof storyline, that basically was set in stone of, hey, we don't see nothing in you and we're going to give you this dumb personas and you're going to get paid for that. And that's just not good enough because that dumb persona is what also helped kill her momentum and everything. Nobody saw her as like headlining WrestleMania. Nobody saw her like becoming like an IC champ or like, a US champ. Why wasn't she going for the IC title instead of AJ Lee, who's not even really a wrestler no more? Like, I don't get it. Because the thing about the Money in the Bank, that's kind of like a test run. And a lot of people do fail their first test run. Like, I can't think of her name. The one that smiles a lot. Oblivion. The Trouble theme song that she now has that she sings. She's the new World Heavyweight Women's champion on Raw. She just won it from Stephanie. I can't think of the blonde woman's name, and I'm actually a fan of hers. When she had her first title run after Money in the Bank, it sucked. But then she had a do-over and everything. And the next one was a heck of a lot better. Problem is, they only gave Nikki one chance and one chance only. And when a legend complains, that you're pretty much done after that, because Vince always gonna listen to who made him money and everything, And the thing also I've noticed about a lot of these female wrestlers is the moment they start dressing like a hooker, they get a major push. Think of Rhea Ripley. Like, when she was in NXT, she was the NXT champ, and for whatever reason, Charlotte Flair won like Money in the Bank or the Rumble or something like that. But then she challenged Rhea for the NXT title. Why? That don't make no sense. She's a multiple women's champ. Because think about it. If Charlotte Flair doesn't need no more titles, she's a great wrestler. She has the legacy of her father's last name that helps push her into doors. And she's trying to get close to her father's title reign and everything. Which Vince put a stop to that once he said, yeah, the NXT titles, they don't count. It's only on the main roster. So that knocked her down a peg or two. But why was she wrestling for the NXT title to get it from Rhea? That don't make no sense. Unless she was not happy with her booking and she wanted a title or something like that. And, back to the whole hooker look. Remember Io Sky when she first joined like the main roster? She would think she was wearing like pants. But then all of a sudden, she started dressing in this really cute hoochie mama attire, and she started to get a push. Rhea Ripley, she did the leather pants look. Then once she went all half naked and everything, she got a push. And whoever the blonde girl is, whose name I cannot think of right now. Um, wow, I really can't remember this girl's name. Liv Morgan, that's it. Liv Morgan. Her, like I said before, her first title run sucked, but then the next one were better. But I think even she used to wrestle in like pants or something like that until she started looking half naked and everything. And that's really all it takes. If you get the male eye gaze and everything, WWE will push you and everything. Also, plastic surgery helps. And Nikki Cross doesn't do none of that. She doesn't have no plastic surgery. Everything on her is natural, especially that butt. But she doesn't show skin. She doesn't dress like a hoochie mama or nothing like that. And so because of that, they just did not push her. Bailey is kind of a similar thing. Bailey has always wrestled in like a tank top, a shirt, or pants. And everybody has always said out of all the four horsewomen, she was the one always neglected and everything. But like she was always a workhorse and everything. She would work her butt off and win those titles and stuff. And she had a really cool gimmick of like the hugger thing that got her so over that dressing like a hoochie mama just didn't matter. But look at her now. You know, Vince felt bad because during the COVID time, he pushed his talents to like work out. She got injured for a year, came back, formed a fraction, eventually won the title and everything. But ever since then, she's just been covered up. And now she's doing the mentor role with the other girl. And it's just kind of like you don't see her being world champion. You don't even see her gunning for the title. And that's because she doesn't dress like a hoochie mama and everything. And that's really something that I have noticed when it comes to the female wrestlers. Because you know, if you have the fake boobs and the fake lips and the fake this and the fake that, and you dress like a hoochie mama, you get pushed and everything. Naomi, you know, she was doing the pants look for a long time. Then she left WWE, came back and started dressing like a hoochie mama. And then she got a push and everything. And that's really all it takes for a lot of these female talents to get noticed by the higher ups. You gotta be a hoochie mama and everything. Look at Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton, I have literally nicknamed her America's Hard On. She has the fake lips, she has the fake boobs, and maybe a fake face. I don't know what the heck is going on with her face. But I've said this before, the woman does not wrestle, she just hits move after move after move like a gimmick, and all the moves that she hit have come from famous men of her past. You know, she has the Alabama Slam. I don't care what you say. Bob Holly is a WWE legend. The man might never been IC champ or world champ, but the man has put in his dues. And, you know, she has like the moonsault, which anybody does that, like, you know, RVD, Lita and everything. Then she does like, you know, the Swanton Bomb, Jeff Hardy. Now she has the Springboard Stunner. You can either take Stone Cold or you can take John Cena. But Stone Cold made John Cena stop doing that. But nevertheless, she hits moves that like, and she also kind of has like a rolling thunder. No, she don't have rolling thunder. What is it? She has you on her shoulders, fireman carry, and then she does like a tumble front roll over. And RVD used to do that before he did the spring-legged moonsault and everything. And she does a similar thing to that. So she hits moves that you are familiar with and moves that she idolized and everything. But she botches every freaking week. And she doesn't even really wrestle. I mean, she botched the crap out of that match before WrestleMania with Julia, to the point where she banged Julia up so bad that their match for WrestleMania got called off, and now she won the title on SmackDown and everything. And it's kind of like, why would you push somebody who botches every week and literally banged up the champion and stuff? Why do they get a WrestleMania match? It should have went to Jordan Grace. But no, well, I don't see Jordan Grace lasting in this company for the next year. She might be here for the rest of the year, but I think she'll be out by the end of the year, because why is she jobbing the people? And she's a former like TNA champion. And so it's very regrettable what happened to Nikki. She just deserves so much better and everything. Like she really did. The woman came from another country, for crying out loud. And she ain't been back in that country to live for a very long time. And when you saw when she put out her message, everybody she thanked, she made sure she thanked William Regal, but she didn't thank Triple H though. Because seriously, she ain't Triple H's favorite. She's not running too creative. She doesn't have the political power of like other wrestlers and everything. She ain't kissing no butts, and she ain't dressing half naked. And they just treated her like she was nothing after a while. And that really pissed me off. And as for your boy Flair, not my boy, because I've never liked that man ever since Teddy Long said that Ric Flair called him the N-word and tried to have him meet the head of the clan. Like seriously. And that man lives in like the Carolinas, so it's a good possibility. And I believe Teddy Long more than I believe Ric Flair. And Ric Flair is at it again, trying to get his daughter another push. Like he's back at it again on podcast talking about Charlotte actually deserves better, and like why is she tagging and blah 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 blah, and she needs to be booked better. She is being booked better. She's in a tag with Alexa Bliss, and that's the only thing that is saving her right now, because fans turned on her because of her famous last name and her wrestling ability and her always getting title matches. She won the Rumble, and then she faced Tiffany Stratton for the title. And she was supposed to be face, but then she had to turn heel. And we all remember that disaster and everything of like them going off script and people making fun of her face because it's changed for like the 100th time. And so now heel, she didn't want to be heel no more. People are hating her. And then they put her in a partnership with Alexa Bliss. And that is the only saving grace she had at that time. Fans do what they do best. They flip-flop and they forgave her, and now they're cheering her on. But oh no, this ain't good for Daddy Flair and everything. He wants his daughter to be booked better. He wants his daughter to do singles matches. He wants his daughter winning world titles again, and blah 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 blah. Like this man seriously just needs to chill. His daughter is doing great. There's really no telling how far she would have went if she didn't have the last name Flair. But she probably would not have went far. She would not have went far. It's that nepotism. It's a nepo baby kind of thing. Okay, her name is Glenn Cross. That's it. I knew it was something. So it's Nicola Glenn Cross. All right. Man, I'm still pissed that she got fired and everything. Like, ooh, that just makes me so mad. Like, you have no idea. Alrighty. Well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.